Welcome back to this episode of the Close More Deals podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about rental worksheets. So the purpose of this is because what happens is if you have an investor client and they're buying rental properties, if you just let them loose and they speak to their regular lender, in most cases, that lender is only going to use 50% of the income. So if that's the case, right, and you're renting a home for $3,000 a month, and your mortgage is $2,000, and let's just say your taxes are $200 a month, right? So your expenses are $2,200, obviously excluding vacancy, repairs and maintenance, all that stuff. I'm just talking basic expenses are $2,200. You rent it for $3,000, right? Normally thinking we have $800 a month cash flow. However, not the way that the banks look at it. So most often, if they're using 50% of the rental income, they're using $1,500. Which is then showing them you have a loss of $700 per month on the application. So that is not a real life loss, but that's how they calculate it. So what happens is clients end up going to banks or other lenders. It's not even banks, like it is banks, but it's all the lenders. And they end up hearing, oh, you're maxed out. Your debt ratios are too high. So we had, I'll give you a perfect example, actually. Credit cards is one of the easiest things to get approved for, right? We all know this. They issue them out like candy. They don't really look at your income. You just kind of tell them over the phone. Sometimes they might check, but for the most part, it's like you tell them over the phone, they check your credit, and you're approved, right? As long as you don't have anything terrible on there. So I had a client who it's actually going to be closing in a couple of weeks, but we got him approved. And he said that he wanted to get a credit card and charge about 10 grand worth of expenses for new appliances and stuff like that. And he asked me if it'd be okay. And I said, yeah, it's okay. Do it. Like, it's no problem. He went to get the credit card and he said that they declined him actually because of debt ratios. They said his debt ratios were too high when he went over stuff, like over the phone with them. So the thing is the reason I was able to get him approved is I used a rental worksheet on his existing portfolio, which allowed me to almost use 100% of the rental income. And then what happens is the surplus we add as his income. So we kind of like take all of his properties and erase them. So we're not looking at the, expenses or whatever. And if there's a surplus of income, we add it into his normal income. So it just greatly increased his purchasing power, so much so that the mortgage was easy and a credit card was hard. Do you know what I mean? That's funny when you think about it. That's actually funny. But that's how this program works. So the point of this is not all lenders have these rental worksheets, and most brokers don't use them. It takes time to fill out an Excel sheet, and every lender, they have their own. It's not like it's like just one generic one. It's literally every lender has their own. They all have their own kind of unique formula. So even though it's not quite 100%, some lenders will use a little bit more than others. We do input 100% of the rent on the rental worksheet, but they have their own expenses that they use and they calculate into all of this. So sometimes, like I said, it works better at certain lenders than others. But we use this all the time when clients come to us and say they were maxed out. That happens all the time. It's either they had too many properties or their debt ratios are too high. So the rental worksheet is a beautiful way to get past the debt ratios are too high. If it's, property, I have too many properties. Again, it's probably that bank. Most banks have a 5 limit. Some banks have a 5 limit, whether you've got those mortgages somewhere else or at that bank, where other ones, it's like 5 with them. So you could come to them, you could have a couple already, and then it's 5 with them. So if you already have that, they could be telling you that. So this is why for an investor, especially an investor, right? We're here promoting the show and always saying like, hey, like reach out if you need help. We have all these programs, but if you look us up, we are absolutely geared and focused on the real estate investor. Not that we're not for homeowners. We have dedicated people on the team that work for first-time home buyers, but we are investors. And this is our number one niche is investment property. So we will blow the competition out of the water when it comes to rentals. And if you partner with us on this, you're going to close more deals on your rentals. There's other things that we do, other tricks of the trade, and I don't want to ruin our secrets and put it out there for everybody to know, but we do a lot of unique things that help. So if you have a client who's being told their debt ratios are too high and they want to buy rentals, or even they want to buy their primary home and they have existing rentals, I'm telling you, we've got the best program for you and we will help make this a success for you. So give us a call. The details will be in the show notes below, as well as updated rates and all that good stuff. So check there. But of course, please let us know if you have any questions. If this episode added value, please share it with your realtor friends, your clients, anybody. We want to help spread the wealth about all these amazing special programs. Thank you so much. Have a great day.